Hello, today
Beth.
with
Down
the
sunny
Sarah
Sydney.
Townsend
Thank you
today.
for having me.
And with AJ Strange. Hi, I'm Paul Rushworth-Brown, and welcome to Interviews Down Under. I'm here with Lyndi Allison, wonderful author, all the way from Panama. Now, Lyndi, I need to ask you a question. I had a look at your bio today, and you live in a very special place, I believe. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yes, I'm very fortunate. My husband always wanted to retire somewhere hot, and I had two adult children living in Panama, so we had visited here 7 or 8 times, and so it just felt like the right move for us when we were done our regular employment. So here we are. And sometimes I host what we call writing hikes, and we go to these spaces, and a small community of us write together.
Wonderful. So tell us about, you're a young adult author at the present time, right? And you've written a wonderful book. I actually read a good chunk of it yesterday. But and one of the things that stood out for me reading it was it was so fast paced. So the lines between our stars, you tell us about it.
One of the things that as a high school teacher I really liked was when students got to select their own books to read.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd like to say it was, based on how fabulous the writing was, but when we go to the library, they'd flip to the back of the book, and if it was over 200 pages, that wasn't the right book for them. And so I wanted to write a compelling story that was fast-paced and a little shorter.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to write a story where they could see themselves in the story, and they go on some pretty crazy adventures together. And as they do so, they start to be able to listen to each other's stories and talk about their grief, which is a huge, important part in the process. And so that's why I felt to start with the first trilogy.
Started to write an adult psychological thriller. I mean, that's a huge jump from sort of
Yes.
from young adult fiction to
Yes.
to a psychological thriller. Tell us about that.
But back when I was teaching a book called The Kite Runner, and in that book there's a young man who's trafficked in Afghanistan. And, I thought when my students would journal, they would journal about, how horrific this was, that it was happening so far away. And so I needed to create some awareness in myself, and I hope my story does for others. So, yeah, a big jump for me, even point of view, big jump. It's a learning process, but it's all about the learning, right?
Well, just from I suppose hearing you speak about it, I mean, I can sense a lot of emotion and a lot a lot. You're giving a lot of yourself to this book. Yeah. So the Gem Exchange is coming out this year. Is that correct?
Well, we'll see. It's at the beta reading stage right now. So I'm waiting to hear back from my beta readers and then my
Yep.
editor to see how close the story is to being
Yep.
finished.
Yep.
So I have a tentative plan for, Christmas sales.
A duo of teens are ready to take on formidable foes with courage, integrity, and a little help from the universe. Can, can they find their way home? When a dragon snake slithers into the lab where 15-year-old Jas volunteers, he and his artsy rival deport to an exoplanet to rescue the alien life form's son. I mean, that's that. I'm not a science person, so all of that type of thing is just sort of like a woo.
Yeah, I think stories, can transport us to many different places, whether it be a real place here on this earth
Yeah,
or to a planet that supposedly has other life. And we quite often portray aliens as always being against us and, coming to our planet to seize all the resources that we haven't already ruined yet.
yeah. So it's obvious that through your writing, you give a lot of your emotion. Does it feel like it energizes you or exhausts you?
Well, I think it really depends on the day. I'm not that even a person. And I think I've become more intuitive. When I finished the last book, book six, I had a critiquer who was with me through all six books, and she called me a brat at the end. She said, "You knew right from the beginning this is where the story was going because I can see it." And
The Gem Exchange, you've decided to use a pen name. Explain why.
my concern was if I publish under the same name, would one of those young readers pick up my adult book? And
Yeah,
that's not written for them, even
yeah.
though there is a character their age in that book.
Thank you very much for being on the show. And
Thank you for the opportunity.
no, it's fine. And good luck with the Gem Exchange.
Thank you.
And wonderful to meet you. Thanks, Lyndi.